Thank you for joining us, mate.
Pleasure, mate.
Very, very appreciative. Firstly, sales agent, and I'm keen to kind of dive into this with you because obviously, you're a young gun here on the Central Coast from a sales agent perspective.
Yep.
And I'm interested to hear your insights on what it was like to be on the other side of the fence. Not only that, I know that you've been successful in your own purchases here locally as well. You've got an investment property here on the coast. But firstly, can you introduce yourself and what motivated you to reach out to sharp property buyers in the first place?
So I'm Eden Longford. I work at Empire Property Co. here at Erina. We were introduced by referral to you guys through our financial advisor. We teed up a few Zoom meetings with a few reputable buyers agents we'd kept close ties with and watched on social media and so forth. We felt the Zoom meeting with yourself, Taylor and I had a Zoom meeting with yourself. We felt you were very down to earth. Taylor gelled quite well with you, and we just felt you were true to your word. We planned the sale of our property here on the Central Coast, and to dive into that rent vesting strategy. And we saw the value in places like interstate, which is an area we're not so familiar with. And yeah,
I remember our initial conversation. One thing that really struck me was, firstly, you're very ambitious, which we love, very enthusiastic. And the other thing that I loved as well was you had your handle on property, but like you kind of knew your stuff really. It was probably just needed some additional guidance on, all right, location, and then not only just location, but maybe like we're going to head down this rent vesting strategy or route. What does it look like from a long-term perspective? And I think one thing as well was, Matt, is it a good idea as well? Do you remember some of those initial conversations or maybe some of those challenges or questions that you had during our chat?
yeah, it was more just being able to have the longevity of it, of holding a portfolio. So something we recognized, and I don't think I'm speaking out of school, but like buying an investment property that was a bit of a cash cow, that stuck with me. That helps you to be able to hold something that's a bit more negative geared or
Maybe just having different properties that kind of complement each other, right? You've got one property that might be a bit of a cash cow, and then you have another one that's maybe a little bit more negatively geared. But the one that's negatively geared is still very valuable because possibly there's some opportunity there for that one to have a little bit more capital growth.
Yep.
And maybe the other one that might be a little bit more of a cash cow. And you've got your investment property here on the Central Coast as well. I guess when you first reached out to us and we we're talking about interstate, had you done any of your own research around different markets? I know you obviously researched a few other buyers agents, but what made you feel comfortable firstly investing interstate? And then probably the next one is, what made you feel comfortable with the actual area that we targeted for you?
I tried to. It's a bit of a needle in a haystack. So search something, you think it looks good, you ring a few agents. And for me, it was just more recognizing there's more to it than this. It's obviously such a big area, big field, and to knuckle down on all that research. Just left it with you being the professional.
A lot of people can end up, and I've suffered from this personally, you end up with that sort of analysis paralysis, right? Where you're just going around in circles and you're like, I've looked at thousands of properties here and I'm actually not making any traction.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need a sounding board, whether it be, a professional, a mentor, or someone else that you can kind of lean on to say, no, this is right. Like you're heading in the right direction here. And the next step now is to maybe put an offer forward or something like that. So, mate, I definitely sympathize with you there. So we purchased your investment property, and then shortly after that, yourself, Tay, and your son Mace jumped on a plane and went over to Europe.
Yeah.
How did you feel, I guess, continuing that buying process while you're overseas? Did you feel as though you were looked after? Was there anything missed?
No. So we enjoyed our trip. We didn't have to feel stressed about what was happening behind the scenes. Everything went to plan. Every time I think we were on opposite clocks. So it was your daytime, my nighttime. I'd wake up, you're asleep. But if there was info, it was all in the group chat. We were across everything, and I felt in good hands. It was good.
One thing we always say, we've got a group chat that we're all in, and we work with people on different time zones, and not only that, just even different body clocks and whatnot. And we have people overseas as well. And we're like, just put it all into the group chat and we'll get to it either the next day. And, we did the same thing. And I'm curious to kind of dive into what it's like for a sales agent, because surprisingly, and I found this really surprising, not many sales agents have investment properties, right? Like, and I can never really understand why. And we've been really fortunate to help a bunch of sales agents buy investment properties. But is from your experience, from conversations that you have with colleagues, do you know if there's any reasons for that?
For me, we built our home. It was hard to let go of such a finished and beautiful product. But as soon as the rates went up, the pressures of living increased and increased. We thought we we lent on to the professionals. So we lent with our financial advisor, and he's sort of indicated the direction to consider rent vesting, which I think was a process that he undertook when he was a bit younger. But yeah, we pretty well trusted him wholeheartedly.
Yeah, nice. And that reinvesting strategy from a financial standpoint is great, right? Because you've got the ability to rent in an area that you want to live
Yeah.
at basically at a discount, compared to if you were going to buy the house and then pay off a mortgage.
Yeah.
And then also it gives you the ability to invest in different markets across the country that can really complement your overall investment strategy. And not only that, you can diversify your portfolio. You can have a variety of different properties that offer like what you're, which is what we've started building out for you. You've got a cash cow on one side, and then you've got another property that's maybe negatively geared, but as a combination, the cash flow is quite good. Also, the other property that you hold has the ability to add a granny flat because there's a significant amount of land content there, so you've got some flexibility down the track as well. But what I love about that rent investing strategy is you've got a variety of different assets there, and you can slowly continue to build on those assets as you go down the path.
Yeah.
As opposed to, lumping all of that money into your principal place of residence, into somewhere that you want to live, which may not be a very wise investment location.
Yeah.
Right. So you may not get the performance you would get out of your owner occupier home compared to if you strategically build out an investment portfolio. How do you find rent vesting and renting? Do you enjoy it? What's the
It's good. We've had a bit of a like the house we're renting at the moment, it's just sold, so we're moving out there before the end of the lease. But you can definitely, like, looking at the rental market, you can definitely enter suburbs that are like places like Erina. It's quite expensive to buy, quite expensive to hold, but like the difference in prices for rentals as opposed to purchase, especially at my age, is
much palatable? Yes, better.
much more manageable.
And what was it like from a buying perspective? Like how was it like? I'm curious because you're in the industry. Like I said, you're a successful young agent. What's it like leaning on someone else to guide you through that buying process? Was it hard? Were there times where you're like, Matt doesn't know what he's talking about. Matt does know what he's talking about. The team don't know what they're talking about. I would have done it this way.
There was none of that. There was none of that. Taylor tried to slow me down. I wanted to control it. I was ringing you every 5 minutes. She's like, slow down, slow down. But once we teed up that Zoom and it was sort of structured in the process of signing, coming on board with you and the process of finding a place, we felt in really good hands. The communication was excellent.
Awesome, mate. Awesome. And I think we're coming up to 12 months anniversary, I would say. Not quite.
Probably
No, not quite. It'd be
maybe 6 months.
Yeah, actually, it would be. Yeah, it'd be 6 months. How's the property? Firstly, how is it going from a tenant standpoint?
Yeah.
Uh, have there been any complications there? How have the property managers been? What's it been like owning an investment property interstate?
Yeah, really good. I think I bugged the property managers there, ran about 100 questions by them initially, but now it's more that set and forget. We're set in for a rental increase up there. Both tenants are happy, and from where that rental increase is now to where it's about to head to. There's some value there.
Excellent, excellent. And you just touched on, and this is probably just from your industry experience, but I encourage anyone to ask the property manager a bunch of questions, right? And set some expectations out early. And because the property manager is the gatekeeper to your investment property.
Yeah.
Right. So they, if they are experienced and they know their stuff, they can make your investment experience far more enjoyable than if it's someone that's not as experienced and they kind of just let anyone into your property, right? Because why I say that is because the property manager is crucial through qualifying and disqualifying potential applicants.
Yeah.
And they will quite quickly assess someone and whether or not they feel as though they're going to be suitable or not. So,
Yeah.
an inexperienced property manager can potentially bring someone in that isn't going to be a good fit as a tenant.
Yeah.
And that problem can be ongoing for probably 12 months or beyond. So you can face problems like, rental arrears, damage to the property, no transparency with regards to the amount of people living there or whether they got pets and the list goes on.
Yeah.
But if you have an experienced property manager, they can accurately assess the most suitable tenant to be in your property, which can mean really seamless, really set and forget, like you suggested. Because I think people get confused where they feel like all tenants are bad tenants.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like us in real estate. Everyone in real estate are bad. It's not the case, right? It's just about weaving through the not so great ones and getting better ones. So I encourage anyone out there, if you've got an investment property or you've just bought an investment property, to chat with the property manager. Make sure you're aligned. Make sure they're experienced, and they can really enhance your property experience when it comes to, I guess, dealing with challenging tenants.
Yeah. We were fortunate enough, it was already like we were in lease. They were current tenants. Yeah, one side have just given notice to vacate, but we've already lined up, like, the property manager's experienced enough to pretty well line up someone. There's no loss of rent there, which is good, and someone's already approved and on their way in, which is good.
Just remind me, did we buy your property on market or off market?
Off market. So, it was the first property you presented to us. It ticked the boxes that we'd previously discussed. It was a no-brainer for us to obviously act on it. It was brick and boring. It was a corner block. I remember you saying brick and boring, white picket fence in future and stuff like that. But yeah, it ticked the boxes, and it needed some love. It does need some love, but it was price sensitive as well, and something we negotiated and got a good price on.
And I think for a lot of people, they can get caught up in the bells and whistles
Yep.
of a property, right? And you just mentioned the white picket fence. Like, people look at that and think, "Oh, this looks amazing," but they're kind of, especially from an investment perspective, they're not considering anything outside of that white picket fence or the bells and whistles. They're not looking at the economic drivers. They're not looking at the numbers. And I know when we first chatted and the strategy that we set out for you, we had those clear guidelines when it come to price, and we had those clear targets when it come to yield. And we spoke about, the value of targeting those really high growing and high performing locations. And I think, we ended up buying a duplex pair for you, which is a unique purchase in itself, and one that a lot of people don't consider, especially
I didn't.
yeah, you didn't consider the
No,
duplex?
no, it's something that, yeah, it's a no-brainer now, but definitely something it wasn't at the start.
And I think, look, they're not for everyone, the duplexes, but I think as a foundational style asset, if you can acquire both sides, which is what we did with yourself,
Yeah.
there can be some serious benefits to that. Benefits such as high rental yield. So I think yours would rent around that 6%,
It's at just shy of 6.
just shy of 6. And when those rental increases happen,
It'll be over 6.
over 6%,
Yeah.
in a high growth location, brick and boring style of home as well.
Close to everything, which is good.
Close to all amenities, parks, in a high performing location. So I think for us, they're quite rare, which is what we discussed. And it was the first property that we looked at with you. I do remember now, but when opportunities like that pop up, especially off market, we've got to move pretty quickly on them.
I think you presented it to us at, 4 p.m. It was the first property. We'd only just had a meeting a week before. You sent us the Zoom. We did our little walkthrough. I think I gave you the go-ahead at 6. You rang me at 7 and said, they've counted at this, and I found it extremely fair, and we got the deal done, which is awesome. I was excited.
How did you're a gun negotiator. How did you find out negotiating?
You went up $1,000. Oh, you did. They had an asking at 670, and we got it in at 671.
What would you have done to a buyer if they've gone up 1,000 and you're the sales agent on the other side?
We'll try to be pushing over 7, but yeah. Oh, and I reckon we would have paid it, to be fair, but no, I was quite happy.
Oh, yeah? You probably would have paid more than.
I was quite happy with the price we got it at. Yeah, based on comparables.
Yeah, that's really, really good. And what would you say to anyone looking at either engaging a buyer's agent or engaging our team?
It's a small fee to pay for, like, high reward, I think. Factor it into your purchase price. I know it's an initial fee you pay, but factor it into your purchase price. Um, I'm experienced, but, like, lean on someone who knows the area. For me, I know the Central Coast, and outside of that, I'm sure there's people who know their stuff a little bit better.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Thank you, Eden. Champion, mate.
Pleasure, mate.
Thanks for coming in.
Happy to help.
You're very welcome.